Here was my lucky thrift store find for the week. A Sharp RT100 stereo cassette deck for $9.99 in perfect working condition. If this model looks familiar, that may be because of its alter ego. It was sold at Radio Shack from 1985 to 1989 as the Realistic SCT35. It was their lowest priced cassette deck, which supported Dolby B noise reduction and the ability to record and play chrome and metal tapes. They called it a high-quality basic deck with the most wanted recording features. And this was considered to be a loss leader deck, the cheapest deck they could advertise to get people in the door of a stereo shop and hopefully convince them to buy something more expensive. It is a very basic deck with mechanical push-button controls, but it does have soft eject. There's the mechanism, which I just cleaned. The head does have some corrosion on it, but the part that actually contacts the tape looks fine, as does the pinch roller. I noticed the motor runs continuously whenever it's powered on, so if you have one of these, you should turn it off when you're not using it to avoid wearing out the motor. In addition to the expected left and right recording level controls, it also has a selector button for Dolby noise reduction, tape type selectors for chrome and metal tapes. It also has microphone inputs for stereo left and right microphones, a feature that was dropped from most later cassette decks, as well as a 1/4-inch headphone jack. Unfortunately, there's no volume control for the headphone jack. It does have a tape counter and what they called the Sharp Scan peak level display. That's an LED level meter. But you can tell this was built down to a price by the fact that what looks like a metal front panel and knobs are actually just silver painted plastic. Also, the auto stop only works in play and record. When you're rewinding or fast forwarding and it reaches the end of the tape, it'll just stay running until you hit stop. The back panel is plastic as well, with this mysterious cutout. I don't know, maybe you could fit a microphone in there or something. Doesn't seem to have any real purpose. Has your line level inputs and outputs here, and a switch to select either the line inputs or the microphone inputs. And there's the manufacturer information engraved into the plastic. Sharp stereo cassette deck, model number RT100. This is a 120 volt model. There it gives the serial number. Sharp Electronics Corporation, made in Japan. And unlike some much newer and fancier cassette decks I've owned, this did not require any repairs. It works perfectly using its original belts. So I'll give you some samples of what it sounds like.
With your purchase, you should have received an owner's manual, a warranty book, a maintenance schedule, an extra set of keys, and a full tank of gas. Our management team and sales staff make every effort to make sure you have a thorough understanding of how your new Chevrolet operates. But if a question arises once you're home, don't hesitate to call. Chevrolet provides you with a 6-year, 60,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. However, if you have not already purchased one, a bumper-to-bumper extended service plan is available for a limited period of time at our discounted prices.
I wish that one of these days I could give up this mess, all the traffic and noise and all of the rest. Until then I'll just wait for vacations to go, doing what I must do to get by, cause I know there's a cabin and a sauna with a deck and a view, and I've heard it said that God lives there too. I'm going up north, where the living is grand up north. Lakes that cover the land, all the water and trees give my soul room to breathe. I can fly like a bird in the breeze that blows up north.
In all their splendor, there are nations pride, a sight to remember, lined up side by side. The famous iron horse, it's the big boy, yes of course. At Steamtown National Park displays, Frampton, PI. Steamtown National Park, Steamtown National Park.
Despite the cabinet being entirely plastic, the cassette mechanism was largely constructed of metal, and it uses Sharp's own motor. There are 3 belts, 2 for the mechanism and 1 for the tape counter, and if I switch on the power, you can see they start to rotate immediately, even without it actually playing a tape. On the main circuit board, there are 2 Dolby noise reduction chips, 1 for each channel. This is the record playback switch that gets engaged when you press record, and then it springs back into play mode. It has 3 pairs of trimmers on the circuit board which are marked left and right, but unfortunately it doesn't say what they do. But I believe this pair is for adjusting the playback level, this is for adjusting the recording level, and you notice this pair is right next to the recording oscillator coils, so this is for adjusting the recording bias. The Dolby noise reduction processors are NE646N chips, and they have a date code of the second week of 1982, so unless they were using an old stock of chips, that likely means this deck was made in 1982. And this big cutout into the back panel really doesn't seem to serve any purpose. I thought maybe there might be some shielding glued to the bottom of it, but there's not. It's just plastic all the way through. So I really don't know what this is for. And unfortunately, it also blocks access to the speed adjustment trimmer in the motor. I have one of my plastic adjusting tools here, and I could just about wedge it in between the back of the case and the motor, but I'm forced to do so at an angle because this cutout is right in the way. And there's no hole in it. I know some decks have a hole in the back you could stick the screwdriver in directly without even removing the cover, but that's not the case here. So this is really a poor design. But I don't need to adjust it because the speed is almost perfect without me even touching it. And the wow and flutter is a little bit higher than the 0.1% WRMS that the manual specifies, but that's with 41-year-old belts. And if I play this Dolby calibration tape, it's supposed to show an indication on a level meter which corresponds to wherever the Dolby symbol is on the meter, which in this case is at 0 dB. And if I play it, indeed it does, so that's perfect as well. For my recording test, I used a metal tape as it recommends. However, this is a Type 2 metal tape. A bit of a rarity, but it is a real metal tape. It's just designed to use the chrome position for recording rather than the metal position. And it sounds great in this deck. So despite being over 40 years old, I have not needed to do any repairs or adjustments to this bottom-of-the-line loss leader Sharp cassette deck from 1982. Something I unfortunately cannot say about some decks, which are much more expensive and half its age.
You broke my heart in two, so here's goodbye to you. I hope you'll find someone to make you happy. Now I'll go on my way, but in my heart I'll say, I hope I meet someone who'll make me happy too.